Walk for 30 minutes today, and something begins happening inside your body before you've lost a single kilogram. Your heart responds, your muscles demand more fuel, your circulation changes, and even your brain may respond to that single session of movement. But do it every day for a month, and the changes become much more interesting. The question is, how much can 30 minutes really do? And one common mistake can make those 30 minutes considerably less challenging than you think. 30 minutes sounds almost too simple. No gym membership, no complicated equipment, no extreme workout. But walking is frequently misunderstood because people tend to ask the wrong question. They ask, how many calories will I burn? A better question is, what happens when your body receives the same moderate physical challenge repeatedly for weeks, months, and eventually years? Because some effects occur rapidly, others require consistency, and some popular claims about walking are simply exaggerated. By the end, I'll show you the simplest way to tell whether your 30-minute walk is actually challenging enough to count as moderate intensity activity. The first obvious change happens because moving muscles need more oxygen and energy. As your walking intensity increases, your cardiovascular system has to support that increased workload. Your breathing becomes faster. Your heart rate usually rises. More blood must circulate to active tissues. None of this means one walk suddenly gives you an athlete's heart. That is the first important distinction. One session creates a stimulus. Repeated sessions create the opportunity for adaptation. But your heart isn't the only organ responding. When you start walking, your leg and postural muscles repeatedly contract. That requires energy. Your body uses available fuel to support those contractions, including carbohydrate and fat, in proportions that vary with factors such as exercise intensity, duration, diet, and individual physiology. This does not mean that walking for 30 minutes specifically targets belly fat. Human fat loss does not work that neatly. And while people focus on calories, one of the fastest benefits may have nothing to do with weight. A single session of moderate to vigorous physical activity can provide immediate benefits, including reduced feelings of anxiety and improved sleep quality, according to the CDC. So the first thing you notice from walking regularly may not be a smaller waist. It might simply be that you feel different. But here's where the 30-minute rule becomes misleading. Two people can both walk for exactly 30 minutes and receive very different exercise stimuli. One variable changes almost everything. We'll reveal the variables shortly. One walk is an event. 7 walks start becoming a pattern. And patterns matter because the health effects of exercise depend heavily on repetition. Consider 7 daily 30-minute walks. That is 3.5 hours of additional movement across 1 week. But don't expect a dramatic movie-style transformation. You probably won't wake up on day 7 looking like a different person. That isn't how physiological adaptation normally works. What may be changing is much less visible. Regular physical activity is strongly recommended because cardiovascular benefits accumulate over time. For example, regular activity is associated with lower cardiovascular disease risk, and physical activity can help with blood pressure control. But notice the wording, can help, not guarantees. Someone with hypertension should not throw away prescribed treatment because they started walking. Walking is health-promoting physical activity, not a magical replacement for appropriate medical care. Now we reach the claim that attracts the most clicks: weight loss. Search online and you'll find extraordinary promises. Walk for 30 minutes and melt belly fat. Scientifically, that framing is poor. Walking requires energy, so it can contribute to your overall energy expenditure. But fat loss depends on the broader picture, including food intake, overall activity, body size, physiology, and consistency. So someone could walk every morning and still consume enough energy to prevent meaningful weight loss. Another person might combine walking with appropriate nutrition and other activity and see considerably different results. And that last image is important because the scale can completely distract you from what is actually improving. Imagine walking consistently for 30 days. You step onto the scale and the number barely changes? Was the entire month pointless? Absolutely not, because the bathroom scale cannot measure 3 of the most important adaptations. One simple way to judge progress is to compare your body against itself. Think about the route that felt uncomfortable during your first week. Does that same distance eventually feel easier? Can you cover it more comfortably? Does an ordinary hill feel less intimidating? If so, the meaningful change isn't necessarily on your scale. It's in your capacity to perform physical work, but improved fitness is only the first measurement. Regular physical activity is also relevant to metabolic health. Physical activity plays a role in blood glucose management and helps reduce the risk of type 2 diabetes. But again, precision matters. Walking does not guarantee normal blood sugar, and someone with diabetes should not use a YouTube video as a reason to alter medication. The evidence supports walking as part of a broader healthy lifestyle and, where necessary, appropriate medical management. And the third measurement is the one people often underestimate. Your walking habit isn't only about living longer, it's also about how you function tomorrow morning. Physical activity is associated with better sleep quality and reduced feelings of anxiety, among other benefits. And this creates an interesting feedback loop. If walking helps you feel better, you may be more willing to walk again. And once behavior becomes easier to repeat, consistency becomes less dependent on motivation. But remember that unanswered question from the beginning? Now we can answer it. The difference between 2 30-minute walks is often not the clock, it's intensity. And you don't even need expensive equipment to estimate whether you're walking hard enough. A very relaxed stroll and a purposeful brisk walk aren't necessarily the same physiological challenge. One practical way to estimate moderate intensity is the talk test. At moderate intensity, you're generally breathing harder, but conversation remains possible. You should feel like you're exercising, not fighting for your life. This doesn't mean faster is always better. Exercise intensity should be appropriate for the individual. Now, we can address another misconception. 30 minutes itself has no mystical biological property. It's simply a practical duration. For adults, 30 minutes of moderate activity on 5 days gives 150 minutes per week, the commonly recommended minimum amount of moderate intensity aerobic activity. And activity does not necessarily need to occur in one uninterrupted session. Weekly activity can be accumulated in smaller chunks. However, even perfect walking leaves one major fitness category undertrained. Walking deserves its reputation as accessible aerobic activity, but it should not be presented as the only exercise a human body needs. Current adult recommendations combine aerobic activity with muscle strengthening activity on at least 2 days each week. So the stronger long-term formula is not walking versus strength training. It's walking plus strength training. And depending on the individual, balance, mobility, and other forms of activity may also matter. So, what if you don't stop after 30 days? What if those 30 minutes continue for 6 months, a year, or longer. This is where the most important benefit of walking stops being something you can see. Long-term health is built from repeated behaviors. Regular physical activity is associated with lower risk of cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, and several other chronic conditions. And here's the uncomfortable truth. The benefit isn't that one extraordinary 30-minute walk changes your life. The benefit is that an ordinary walk can be repeated again and again, which leads to the most useful question in this entire video. Instead of asking, "How much weight will I lose if I walk for 30 minutes?" ask, "Can I build a walking routine that I can actually maintain?" Start at an intensity appropriate for your current ability. Make the walk purposeful. Progress gradually. And remember that walking works best as part of a broader pattern that includes adequate nutrition, sleep, and muscle-strengthening activity. So, what happens when you walk for 30 minutes every day? You probably won't wake up transformed after 7 days. You won't selectively melt belly fat. And walking cannot replace every form of exercise. But repeated brisk walking can contribute to better cardiovascular fitness, metabolic health, sleep, mental well-being, and long-term health. But there is another side to this story. You can exercise for 30 minutes every morning and still spend the next 10 hours almost completely inactive. So what actually happens to your body when you sit for most of the day? That's the video you need to watch next.